Houston Street Life.
Yeah, this TY. Welcome to another episode of Houston Street Life, where we keep it real. Today I have a guest with me. I'm just going to let him introduce himself. Introduce yourself for me.
My name's Mike Mars. They call me Chrome Shop Mike. I've been living the streets of Houston for 50 years, off and on.
What was your childhood environment like?
My childhood environment, I'm a contradiction in terms, okay? I had a family that was meticulously honest. I'm the only one in my family that ever got into any trouble. But I chose that path, the path of least resistance. You know what the path of least resistance is?
Yeah.
It's the easy way. And the easy way is never the right way. It's never the right way.
Got to put in the work.
Yeah, you got to put in the work. So I come across when I was younger, my family didn't have a lot of money. I mean, we were fairly comfortable, but my mother and father got divorced early on, and I was kind of like a poor kid in the streets of California. And I didn't move to Houston until 1973. And I come to Houston in 1973 to work for my father in his metal refinishing business. He had a chrome plating shop in Houston called Guild House, and I went to work for him. I think in 73 I was making about $5 an hour. And I had a wife and a kid on the way, and just gotten out of the Marine Corps. And I wasn't happy, you know. I hadn't found that place in life where I was comfortable with my situation. And I got attracted to motorcycles, wanted a Harley, and finally ended up getting one. Wanted to be involved with some of those outlaw bikers, and finally ended up becoming a member of one. And
So Tim, at that age, who you think influenced you the most in your life?
anything that looked like it was going to be good for Mike, but not necessarily good, influenced me. I'll give you an example. We had a guy named Shorty that was in our motorcycle club come in one day, and he's handing out lines of powder. I said, "What is that?" He says, "It's meth." I said, "Meth? What? Let me try some of that." Boy, I tried it, and it just took me to the moon. And I thought, boy, I like this. And the long story short, I ended up in the manufacturing business, making meth. For $900, I could make a pound of meth, and I sold my ounces uncut for $1,000 apiece. And after the first one was sold, the other 15 ounces were pure profit, and I was selling 3 to 4, maybe 5 ounces a day. So $3,000 to $5,000 a day in cash money in my pocket for a poor kid was a windfall.
And what was your age then?
I was about 24, 25 years old, and I really thought I had done something. I remember one day going by my father's house, and he was sitting out on the patio. He had by this time he had sold the chrome business and opened up a little shop alongside on his property, just to keep him busy. But he was sitting there drinking a glass of iced tea, and I walked in, sat down like I was somebody. He looked at me. He says, "What are you doing, Mike?" I said, "Whatever I want, Dad."
So you were feeling yourself.
Yeah.
Man.
He says, "Well, how are you doing?" I said, "Well, look at here." And I flashed a roll of bills. I probably had, I don't know, a couple $1,000 there. He says, "That's real nice, son." He says, let me tell you a little secret about money that you don't work for. You never keep it. If you don't work for it, you don't earn it. By working for it, you don't appreciate it. Now, next week, you're probably going to come by here and want to borrow $50 from me, and I'll probably give it to you. But for now, just get the hell out of my house.
So he, not knowing what you were doing, assumed
He knew.
that.
My father was no dummy. He knew. It wasn't long after that, part of the drug element, all that goes along with the drug element is all of the crazy stuff that happens, the shootings, the hijackings, the thefts, all of that stuff, and you get caught up in that world, and before you know it, you're behind bars. I've got 3 prison numbers because in Texas prison behind dumb stuff.
So, but still, the money was more powerful than the danger. So,
Well, always. I mean, give you another example. I went to prison the first time. I had borrowed a car because the vehicle that I had was a customized Chevrolet pickup that had the wheels and the side pipes and the stereo, the custom paint and everything. And everybody knew it. And I had to do some undercover work. So I borrowed this car from these people. Excuse me.
it's all right, man.
I borrowed this car from these people, and I get pulled over in it, and it's a stolen car. And they haul me off to jail. This is the first time I went to prison. Next morning, I'm handcuffed to a bench outside of a courthouse in downtown Houston, and the prosecutor comes up and sits down next to me, got this file, and he says, "This could be your lucky day. This could really be your lucky day." I said, "Oh, well, I'm not feeling lucky." He says, "That car you were caught in, God damn it. That car you were picked up in was stolen off the docks, and one of several that was stolen off the docks. It was a 280Z." He says, "If you can tell me who you got that car from, I'll probably let you go."
Oh, he trying to get you to be a snitch.
Tried to get me to be a snitch. Well, the guy that had given me the car was a friend of mine. And I don't think he intended for me to go out hot rodding, which is what I was doing when I got rolled up on. So I figure I owed him at least a little bit of something. And I told him, I says, I was at a party and we were all getting drunk over there, and I needed to go to the liquor store and get some more beer, and I didn't have a car, so I was hollering for somebody to take me to the liquor store, and this guy just throws the keys at me. It was a story, you understand?
Yes, sir.
And he said, "Where was the party at?" I says, "Man, I don't remember." He says, "Okay, 3 years TDC. That's what you're going to get today."
So he put the stolen car on.
He says, "I got the stolen car. You can't beat the case." He says, "But because you don't have a criminal record, I'm going to give you 3 years." I said, "Okay."
So that was your first stint.
That was my first trip to prison.
And what age were you then?
Oh, let me see. I must have been about 24, 25 years old. I got down there and I was working on the concrete crew building the Ramsey 3 unit, which is now the Terrell unit.
Oh, so you helped build a prison.
I helped build a prison. And met the dog boys and all that. It was a real experience. But my father come to see me when I was down there. I was getting ready to get out, and he says, "Look," he says, "when you get out, you're going to come into the house. I've already called. I've already told them that you can come to my address. I'll put you to work, and you can live there and until you get on your feet." He says, let this be
A good lesson.
a good lesson to you. So I said, okay, all right. So when I get there, I didn't get along with my stepmother too well. I ended up going out drinking the first Friday night that I was there, and I run into a guy in the bar. He said, "Chrome Shop." He said, "Look, I got a brother that works for Shell Oil Company, and they're making a substance called bisphenylacetone. And if you can figure out a way to extract the benzene out of this thing, it makes good meth." He says, "and I can get it to you real cheap."
So when did you know that you was a good cooker?
Well, a couple of years before that, I met a guy named oh God, what was his name now?
You ain't got to tell the name.
Jack
but-
Gish. He's dead now. Jack
Oh, okay.
Gish. Anyway, he pulled me aside one day at a party. A friend of mine having a party. And he said, I hear you want to learn a new trade." And I said, "Yeah, I do." He says, "Well, okay, you can go with me. We're going to go up to Lake Travis and make some. I got a cook spot up there, and we're going to make some meth." I said, "All right," and that's how I learned.
So you were
And it's-
good in school in chemistry, but
Took a little bit when I was in college, but not enough to cover this.
I got you.
Anyway, one thing I learned about it is that it's a cutthroat business. You can't trust anybody around you. They're all looking to either snitch on you, rip you off, fuck your wife. Excuse me. Whatever.
All right, this Houston street life. We keep it real.
It's always something like that. But
Since you mentioned that some of them out there, they want to get with your significant other, your wife, girlfriend, or whatever, or just whoever you're dealing with. So how was your relationships?
well, all of those relationships, when the common denominator is dope,
Yeah.
are fragile things. They're not
don't
meant to
last.
last long, and you can't get your feelings hurt either, and you got to be prepared for any kind of craziness.
I understand.
I bought a house over on Fairdale Street off of Chimney Rock, and it was in really bad shape,
Yeah.
and I got it real cheap. But it needed a lot of work, so I'm asking around. Anybody know how to lay carpet or do a roof? I need a fence built. I need sheetrocking done. Well, one day this guy shows up at my door. His name's Doug. He says, "Are you Chrome Shop Mike?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, I got the right place then." He says, "David G sent me over here. He said you needed some work done." I said, "Yeah, I do. I need some work done." I said, "What do you know how to do?" "Oh, I know how to do anything and everything. You just put me to the task." I said, "Okay. Well, right now I need a fence built around my backyard, and I got all the wood back there for a cedar fence." And I explained to him that I wanted a gate on both sides of the house and so tall. And giving him all. I said, "Well, how much are you going to charge me for this?" He says, "If you'll give me a big old bump of that medicine that you make, we can worry about the details later."
So
So I said, "Okay." I figured it was going to be something like that. We
Yeah.
walk in the bathroom there, and I lay him out some dope, and he's doing it, and I get a knock at the door, and it's an old friend of mine. It's an old bandit friend of mine named Little Rusty. I said, "Well, I got to take care of some business here. I'll be right."
yeah.
So I took care of some business with Rusty, and I turn around, and I go back in the bathroom there, and he's gone. And all the paraphernalia is still sitting there, but it's been used. So I go out in the backyard, and I don't see him anywhere. I go to the front yard, his car's there. Well, I'm going room to room, and I finally found him in the middle bedroom, completely
Yeah.
naked, masturbating on the bed. I said, what the hell are you doing in my house, man? Get your ass out of here." Man, I can't help it, Chrome Shop. That dope you make does me like that. I said, well, you need to quit doing dope.
So you had some good dope,
Oh,
the
yeah.
best. How did you get your name Chrome Shop, Mike?
My father had a chrome plating company. And when I first picked up a patch with the Deadman Motorcycle Club, you had to have a nickname. Everybody has a nickname that's a patch holder in an outlaw club.
I got you.
So there was three mics in the chapter I was in. One was called Iron Mike, and the other one was called something else Mike. And I was Mike with the Chrome Shop. You know, Chrome Shop Mike. 40 years later, that's who I am still.
It's all right. That name stuck around. So you were considered the best cooker in Houston.
Well, I don't know if I was the best, but I certainly made a lot of money. I made an awful lot of money. And every time that I would get into trouble, I validated going back to it because of the money. I kept thinking that I was going to be slick enough to beat him this time, because this had happened to me twice. But when you step your foot into that life, it's inevitable. And nowadays, it's almost certain that you're not going to get away with it.
Well, with technology.
With the technology.
And people change now. There's more people out there telling everything you do now rather than...
And for me, in my situation, with my criminal history, I can't step out of line ever again unless I want to go back to prison. And that was no life for me. I didn't like prison.
So, did it take you this long to recognize that, okay, I'm going to stop this because I'm tired of going in and out of jail? Or when did you decide that you wasn't going to be cooking anymore? Well,
let me see. 2001.
That's a good run already, though.
Wait a minute. No, it wasn't that. No. 1990s. I had a shooting incident happen at my house. Guy was trying to rob me. And I had been saving money up to leave town on. And in the middle of the shooting incident, the cops arrived and arrested everybody. Everybody went to jail that night.
Yeah.
And they violated my parole, and I went back to prison. And while I was locked up, my house got ripped off for every tool, pair of pants, shoe, stereo, all the money I had, jewelry, everything. So that whenever I got out of jail 6 months later, I was penniless. So I called a friend of mine, and she come got me, put me in a hotel, gave me a little bit of money, gave me some dope, hooked me up with a couple party girls, and said, I've got a favor I need to ask. So, well, what is it? She says, can you make ecstasy? And I said, yeah, I can make ecstasy. She says, what is it? She says, because I think I've got everything to make it with. I said, well, ecstasy is 3,4-methylene-dioxyl methamphetamine hydrochloride, the main ketone being that called saffron oil or sassafras.
No, sassafras.
Yeah.
The gumbo. Sassafras is used in that.
So when you make the saffron oil, it's just a simple procedure to make it. Well, she had enough stuff there, enough chemicals to make a couple pounds, and this stuff was really, really kind of new in Houston at the time. I went to Fenton, Missouri, and I cooked it off, and I brought it back, and I split it right down the middle with the girl that had got me, picked me up from jail. And she gets busted with the stuff and turns me in. She says, I'm sorry, Mike, I got a kid. I can't lose my kid. And they only wanted you.
They only wanted you.
Yeah. So she set me up. Cops came, got me. I got a 12-year sentence for that.
You didn't think the setup was at the beginning, before the cooking?
No, the way she did it was clever. You know, when I come back from Missouri, I split down with her, and 2 or 3 days later, she calls me on the phone and she says, "Look, I got to go to Florida to see Dennis. Dennis was her ex-old man that was in federal prison."
Yeah.
She says he's getting out of prison, so I'm going to leave my half of the X with you, and if you can sell it, fine. And by the way, I got one of my customers coming by, so I'll introduce you to him. He's liable to be able to push most of that out for you. So she introduces me to her customer, who's a
Yes.
narcotics officer, and the next day I'm back in jail.
With all of it, with
Yeah.
everything,
See,
hers and yours.
doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. You can trust somebody. It doesn't matter. You really can't trust
Trust
anybody.
anyone.
It's just the way it is. And once you learn that, you can distance yourself. I would rather be poor and hungry than get myself involved in
But that's now.
that life again.
But that's now. When you were
I know.
younger, still,
I know.
yeah.
But I mean, I just come out of a halfway house, and when I left federal prison and made it to that halfway house, I thought I was in heaven. Of course, it turned out that I wasn't.
How was that? The halfway house was worse in the prison?
Well, in one regard, and I got to tell you, and the food at that halfway house was horrendous. Worst I have ever had in 25 years of being locked up in I've never had it that bad. And it was scary almost, you know. I had to get a pass to go get something to eat. But that being said, I weathered all of that and I managed to get here where I'm at now. And life is difficult. I'm not going to deny it. But it's not as difficult as it could be.
I understand. It's difficult because they're monitoring your leg, huh?
Over the course of the time that I was locked up on this last time, I wrote a book called Street Games. And it talks about all of the different little nuances in the drug market in Houston, Texas. You know, how we used to go down to the border and make deals with the Mexican cartel for Mandrex and heroin and cocaine and how things have evolved over the years. The drug markets in Houston are nothing like they were 20 years ago. They're nothing like they were, and the police surveillance on these drug markets is stepped up to a point where I don't know if I don't know. I can't see how anybody can get away with anything anymore. I really don't. But
The only ones making it through are the ones they're allowing.
I'm happy that I'm not in that situation.
So what made you decide to write the book?
That's a very good question. I was sitting in my house in a jail cell or in a prison cell at the Huntsville Walls in Huntsville, Texas, on a hot day, and I got called to the major's office, and I walked in, and he said, "Here, you use that phone over there. You need to call your sister." I thought, "What? Not nice of you." Well, when I called my sister, she said, "Your daughter passed away." She was my only child, and she had lupus, but she was on 2 different kinds of medication. She over medicated herself, and she overdosed and died. And I had spent most of her life in and out of prison, and not being a father to her. And I had made a promise to her that I wouldn't get into any more trouble, and that I would try to be a good dad, and after this, I try to be a better man. And she says, "Okay, I'm going to hold you to it." And she lived in California, and I got out, and I went and made some more dope, and got caught, went back to prison. And so I sat down. I don't know, grief works on different people different ways.
Yes.
I was on a cell block with about 60 or 70 guys, and I wanted to cry my eyes out because I mean she was my heart.
Yes.
And I remember rolling the blanket up over my head and just bawling. And when I cried myself out, I was about ready to go crazy. And I thought to myself, there's got to be some way to understand what it is that keeps me coming back here. And I decided that I was going to write about my life and see if I can't figure out where that point was when I slipped the rails and ended up in trouble like this.
So you were searching for your answers.
I was looking for an answer, and so I wrote the book. And there's still some more writing to be done.
It's okay. So you're going to put this book out and then pick up the paper again, the pen, the pad, and...
I'm already 2 chapters into the second book.
Oh, okay.
But I'm struggling. I really am.
Is it going to be a little different or a continuation of the first book?
It's going to be a little different, okay? Because I'm a little different. I'm going to spend a little more time trying to analyze some of the things that I did in life. To try to figure out, just where my head was at the time. I know that if I could have been back then, if I could have had this train of thought back then, I wouldn't be having this conversation with you right now.
I can understand. We all learn, and hey, sometimes the street life it holds you longer than others.
Yeah, well, I mean, what other life is there that you don't have to be on time? you could be anywhere you want to, anytime you want to. Of course, you got to duck and dodge all the.
Well, yeah.
All the
That's
drama.
hide and seek.
But sometimes drama's fun, I guess.
I mean, it comes with the territory.
It comes with the territory. So when you walk through something like that, you can say, "Well, I dealt with that."
All right, now I know you told me a little bit about something a little crazy during that time, but say, what was the wildest thing ever happened? Just incident while you were, while you were chrome shop. Just say, I mean, you cooking for someone one day, they get mad, and I don't know, or it could be something about these crazy women and drugs.
I mean, I think the most violent one was I made a deal with a guy named Sid that wanted 15 pounds of meth made. I told him $8,000 a pound because he's going to buy all 15 pounds.
Oh.
I said, but I've got to bring it to you in 3 different deliveries. So 8 times 12 is $96,000.
Oh.
I'll put another half a pound in there. We'll make it $100,000. And you start me out with about $35,000-$40,000 so that I can buy all my chemicals. He said, okay. He hands me the stuff. I go to my girl, Sue, and I said, go buy enough stuff for all of this stuff. Well, back then, when you went to buy chemicals, the feds couldn't arrest you for buying a chemical. Okay, they could only arrest you if you had certain precursors all in the same spot. Okay, so you would have to send somebody into to buy one chemical, another person to buy another chemical, and then when you got the chemical, the containers always had bugs in them, so you had to empty them out into clean containers and then find a storeroom to put them in and let them sit there for a week or so before you used them, so that you're completely clean.
Okay.
So I'm on my last leg, and I've got to come up with 5 more pounds, and I've got everything ready to go, and I'm coming home one night, living out off of Highway 6 near old Richmond Road, and I'm coming home, coming down Highway 6, and I stop at the gas station, and I'm using the bathroom. When I come out, 2 guys are sitting on the hood of my car. I'm thinking, these are probably either 2 stupid ass motherfuckers or they're cops, and of course they were cops. I said, "Can I help you?" And he said, "Yeah. You could stop poisoning the whole city of Houston with that trash that you make." I said, "Look, man, I don't want to have no trouble here." He said, "Well, it's coming to you. It's coming." And right away, I knew I had some heat on me, and I figured, man, is it worth it to go do this 5 pounds?
Yeah.
I had all of the ketones made. The ketone was made. I had all the chemicals. I could run the whole thing off in about 8 hours, really. But if they're following me around town, then what?
Yeah.
Well, while all this was going on, a guy got out of prison that was kind of pushing his way into everybody's business. And fairly dangerous guy. He'd been locked up for murder, and he was just a real hard ass.
Strong.
And he had come at me a couple of different ways, and I had been able to kind of fend him off. I was too busy for him, or I just. Well, they set up a deal for us to do the last cook over there in Bay Cliff. I went over there and checked out the spot. It was a big trailer. If you go out the back door of the trailer, you could walk through the yard into the next street over, and I parked a car over there. And I went back. I had a friend of mine named Buddy Jones that was going to help me run the last 5 pounds off. So I set everything up, put my boiling flask in there, put my catalyst, all of my chemicals, and I dropped my mercuric chloride in there, and I stacked a 36-inch alien condenser on top, and I run my hoses into hot water or into ice water, but I didn't run the hose off the boiling flask into water to absorb the chemical smell. I just sat there like that, and I let it stink the place up. And Buddy come running across the room. He says, "What are you doing, Chrome Shop? You're going to get us busted."
Yeah.
I said, "Look out the window." Looked out the window, 2 black SUVs out there. I said, "I guess I can cross you off the list of who's the rat. Somebody's a rat in this little old circle of ours."
Yeah. I
says, "Here, take this bottle of Windex and wipe everything down." He says, "Okay." He says, "What about all the chemicals there?" I says, "There's nothing there but cough syrup. I ran the shit off at the house last night. Everything's at my house."
Yeah.
Anyway, we were supposed to meet up a couple hours later. When I got to the house, it's about 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that. When I walk in, my girlfriend's tied up, duct tape over her mouth. And there was 2 guys in my living room, Jack and Tony. And I looked at Tony, and he's the one I'd been having problems with. And I said, "Hey, what's up, man? What's all this about, man?" "You know what it's about. You know what it's about. You're going to open your safe. You're going to hand me all your dope and your money, and I may not kill you." Well, I knew different. Long story short, we all ended up out in the front of the house. Me tucked underneath the truck, and the 2 of them coming from opposite directions trying to kill me, when a friend of mine rounded the corner and got involved in the shootout. And that's about as crazy as it got. I ended up in jail for 6 months over that.
6 months for the shootout?
Yeah, well, he broke into my house, kidnapped my old lady.
Yeah.
The only reason I got the 6 months is because I was on parole, and I had to kill my parole.
Yeah.
That you asked me for a crazy story. That's a crazy story.
And that was the strong armor that tried to come.
Yeah, that was a strong armor.
So, what do you want to tell me about your book to get it out to the people?
Well, I don't know how people are gonna. It's educational, you know. If you let it be. I tried to limit the amount of names that I put in there
That's understandable.
because without permission, then you can get yourself into trouble like that. But everybody that reads it, that knows me, is going to be familiar with all of that stuff.
What's the name of your book? When it's coming out? How they can?
Let me see if I don't know if you can do anything with this, but
You say it's coming out tomorrow,
it comes out Christmas Day
Christmas Day. On what platform was that?
on Kindle.
On Kindle.
Oh God. Let me see. Golly.
It's all right. We leave that for them youngsters to do that.
Here it is. Can you see it?
You can see that? Yeah. That's the book. Street Games by Chrome Shop Mike. Don't worry, we got another picture. Remember I told you we got that one picture.
Yeah.
How you got it? What made you put the picture on what was that, the Toyota Center? Or yeah, for the book.
Did you see that?
Yeah. You put your name Chrome Shop instead of the Toyota.
I didn't do that. The gal that designed the cover put that in there as what's it called, an Easter egg? That's what they call it. They call it an Easter egg.
So you have to find it.
If you're not looking for it,
you won't see it. Yeah.
But if you look for it, you can see Chrome Shop on the Toyota Center.
So
I'm excited, and I hope that it does well, and I hope that the people that read it maybe learn something.
pretty sure everybody can take something out of it. I mean, story of a meth cooker. Hey, there's a lot of people want to know where meth came from, how it developed, how it took over some lives.
Oh, that's another story. That's another story. Do you know the evolution of drugs in this city? You know, from the old Nazi dope, which was made from ketones and phenols and phenyl alcohols, to the Mexican dope, which is made from God, I can't think of. Anyway, it's not made with phenols. Well, I just went blank on that.
That's all right. Talking about the difference in the dope nowadays from how it was.
Well, the dope nowadays is not like the dope when I was younger, which is one of the biggest reasons, or not the biggest reason, but another reason why I would never go back to doing the drugs. That and the fact that I'm just too old, and my mind doesn't work like that anymore. Thank God.
But you, throughout the time that you were cooking, you used to use.
Huh?
Throughout the time that you were cooking, you were also using.
Elepedrin was what I was trying to think of. The Mexican. Yeah, they were using it as a precursor to make the speed, elepedrin. But that's what the Mexicans do. Now they're lacing all that stuff with fentanyl. And 40 years ago, we were making a drug that we called synthetic heroin, Or you used a high speed.
That was me. But that's what they give. That's what they give to people now in the prisons. The
Yeah.
synthetic heroin.
Well, no, this is a drug that's. I don't know how old are you?
I'm 58.
Oh, you might have remembered when people were dying from overdoses of the synthetic heroin. It was a. It was a precursor called Meprogan Forte, which was we did something to strengthen it by using what's called a high-speed nickel catalyst reaction, and it made it 3 times stronger. But you couldn't. It was hard to. It was hard to break it down and into something that you could actually sell. Heroin coming across the border is about 6 or 7% heroin. The rest of it's all cut. Can you imagine what would happen if you had you created a drug that was 100%?
Yeah. So tell me this. I'm gonna ask you this question. I'm gonna do it in 2 parts. Same questions, just gonna be different times.
Okay.
Since you're saying that the drugs are different now than they were, I mean, we know that time changes everything. But when you were younger, what were the top 5 drugs that were selling when you first started getting into meth? And we're talking that's the 70s you're talking about now.
Well, they had a drug called Prelude.
Prelude.
Yeah, that was pretty good. It was a pill for weight loss, but you could cook them down into a syrup that would light you on fire. Cocaine was better then. Weed not nearly as good. Ecstasy was invented by a guy named Sasha Shulgin in Concord, California, as a drug to combat depression or bipolar episodes. And he couldn't get FDA approval on it. So the outlaw chemists, they took it and they put some approval on it.
What else you got back from then? What about speed?
Speed?
Speed, or it's still here now. We used to call it angel dust back in the day.
Well, angel dust was, that was another. I'm trying to think of how we used to make that.
Well, that's the embalming fluid. Same thing.
Sherm.
Yeah, same thing. Back in the day, they just had different name, angel dust. I was just trying to see if you rate that in like the top 5 drugs back then. No.
Well, phencyclidine piperidine, or PCP, or Sherm, is a terrible, terrible, terrible drug. It kills brain cells that you can never get back. It turns you into a vegetable, and over a period of time, it dumbs you down like you wouldn't believe.
They're still doing that today.
They're doing a variation of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know that in federal prison that they're selling a thing called tush? Okay.
Yeah.
You know what it is?
Explain it to them. I know what it is.
Yeah. They take Raid and they spray it on cardboard and they cut the cardboard into pieces and they sell it. And these gummies are smoking that. And what does it do? It shuts down the breathing. That's what that's how you kill a roach. So it's the damnedest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Okay. So now, today, with all the different changes and everything, what's the top 5 drugs you think they're selling today?
I honestly don't know, to tell you the truth. I know that in the next in the next 6 months, you're going to see a turnover in drugs like you've never seen before.
What do you mean about that? What kind of turnover?
Well, oh, excuse me. Trump is shutting it all down. You're still going to get dope. There's still going to be dope around. There's going to be some guy like me that's going to figure out a formula to make some kind of drug. It'll happen. It won't be me though.
So you saying that the drugs are going to go away or just become watered down?
No, they're not going to go away. But
watered down, and then be all new kinds of drugs come out.
He's using this fentanyl deal as a tactic to shut all that dope down. If you see what's going on in the news every day, they're blowing those boats up. They just hired 25,000 new DEA agents, and they are circling the globe.
So what about this weed now? Everybody, and even in Congress, all them people have weed. They're selling weed. They're the manufacturers.
Did you see what happened the other day on the news?
What happened?
He legalized it for certain uses.
Exactly.
Which they should have done, okay? But it's still a trigger, okay? In my opinion, it's a trigger.
So now tell me this, out of all this time, total, what's the total amount of time that you spent in jail, and only from the drugs? And it seems like that's the only reason why you went. You never had any domestic disputes a
little over 25 years.
25 years total?
A little over.
Broken down in
Maybe 20,
how many
in different times. In different times. I did a 2 and a 3 and a 25 and a 15.
And which was the worst stint?
The worst one was this last one. But it was also the best. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Yeah, because it brought you back to where you saying, that's it, I'm done.
I'm done. Forever.
So anything you want to tell the people about doing drugs or manufacturing or for the younger generation?
The drug scene is different from when I was last out there. It's been over 11 years since I was out there doing any kind of business, and I know it's changed. But the method hasn't changed. It's just not a good. It's a bad scene. It really is. Heroin addiction is going to creep up, or it's going to be probably the number one drug in the country.
But heroin always secretly was the most common drug.
Well,
heroin is the most common drug. I mean, you might not.
Well, then why were they giving out more time for meth and crack cocaine than they were heroin?
Because the difference in the people. You think the users, although they don't know that, a lot of people. I mean, just about the whole country. You couldn't miss any nationality, age, or anything when it comes to heroin.
I know.
All right, this has been another interesting day on Houston Street Life, where we keep it real.